William and Nick here. Today we're on the ramp of Squamish, British Columbia, and you're looking at the de Havilland DHC6 Twin Otter by RWDesigns. I was on vacation for a couple weeks, or for a week, I should say. While I was on vacation, we decided we would buy this when I got back, and we did. And we're very happy. Love this aircraft. We loved it in P3D, and we're glad to have it back in X-Plane finally. And it works really well with Smart Copilot. So today's flight is going to be an FSE flight. We're going to be flying from Squamish, British Columbia to Vancouver International. And the purpose of this flight is to really just transit the Twin Otter from Squamish to Vancouver, because there's a bunch of jobs we want to pick up in Vancouver. However, we couldn't rent a Twin Otter in Vancouver on FSE, so we had to find the nearest airport, which was Squamish. The scenery is provided by, what is it, Canadian Scenery? What's the group called?
Canada for X-Plane.
Yeah, Canada for X-Plane. Yeah, and they do a whole bunch of Canadian BC scenery packs. This one is Squamish. It's amazing. And then, of course, we're using Ortho 4XP and W2XP now, right? W2XP?
Yep.
And HD mesh and the custom overlays. So we're jam-packed. So let's jump into the flight planner and take a look at what we're going to be doing tonight. So for today's flight planning, we're going to be using Plan G as per usual. Like we discussed, we're going to be departing from Squamish, CYSE in British Columbia, and we're going to be landing, arriving CYVR, which is Vancouver International. The reason for this flight, like I said before, is it's an FSE flight. We're trying to get the Twin Otter from Squamish to Vancouver International so we can pick up a whole bunch of jobs to fly north into BC. So this is really just a precursor to a much bigger flight. So we've got the de Havilland DHC6 Twin Otter rented here. We're renting it for $796 per hour dry. It comes with 93% fuel, so that's good. And that'll probably get us for our next flight as well. So the flight is pretty simple. We just fly out of Squamish, southwest, out of the bay, avoiding kind of the mountains. I don't really want to climb too much. And then once we get out of the bay there, we're going to be making a right-hand turn towards these intersections, and then we'll capture the ILS for runway 26 left, I believe. Yeah, 26 left due to the winds. So the winds right now are 300 at 13. Let's just refresh that, see if there's an update. No, 300 at 13, gusting at 19. So we're going to be landing runway 26 left. Here's the ILS approach for runway 26 left. The radial is, or the localizer is 110.7. And we're going to be first hitting this Knox-Obe intersection. And we're going to be flying at 2,500 feet, I believe. We're going to be flying pretty low. So we're going to be much lower than the approach plate here. And we're going to be intersecting the NDB. Follow the NDB in to the localizer and then land runway 26 left. Like I said, not a real formal flight. This is just sort of an introduction to the Twin Otter, get us where we need to be, and then the next flight will be a little bit more formal. So let's pop right back into the simulator. Nick, do you have any questions?
No, that's fine.
Cool. Okay, so we've got the aircraft started up. All the gauges are in the green. The GPS is loaded. The comm stack is all set. The transponder's set. Altimeter's set. Lights are all set. As you can see, both engines are spooled up. We've got our fuel and we're logged into FSE. We didn't do the startup in this video because we're going to save it for the next one. This video is really just a quick transit video, but let's get going. So we're going to taxi down this little taxiway here on the left, get to the runway at Squamish, turn right, do a 180, and then take off. And then follow the Squamish Bay out, follow our track. Hopefully everything is good. Nick's in control of autopilot and radios today.
Not that you let me use the autopilot.
He wants to use... Okay, so I guess we should preface this. We did this flight yesterday, like last night. Same weather conditions actually, and it went so horribly wrong.
But not because of the autopilot.
No, well, kinda. So Nick wanted to
Just
turn on the IAS.
lots of small reasons.
And I don't know how to use the IAS, so I kind of screwed everything up.
How you use the IAS is you stop touching the controls while it's active. That's how you use it.
And then, to top it all off, we were going to be like, alright, whatever, this is just like an introductory flight to the Twin Otter. But to top it all off, I forgot to log into FSE. And we realized that when I touched the ground. So, yeah, it was just a really bad flight altogether. The first half, I guess. And it took us a while to start the aircraft because we're forgetting real simple things, but this time we did pretty good, you'd say. Turn on the landing lights. Alright, you all set?
Set. Do you want me to call that rotate speed?
Yeah, sure.
I'll also remember what it is first. I think it's 65. I've got to go 65.
See if I can
What's
get the
that?
ramp. Mind the trees. Okay, positive rate. Let's activate autopilot at 25 or altitude hold at 2,500 feet. And can you set the GPS to CDI or to the GPS lock? So just hit the CDI button there on the bottom left. Thank you. So there's Squamish right underneath us, for those not familiar with BC, which I am not. Approaching 1,000. A little right rudder here on our climb. Or 1,500.
That was a very smooth turn.
I'm using rudder a lot more, so while I was on vacation I actually got to fly an ultralight. It was a Challenger 2, and what I realized is that I do not use rudder enough in simulations. I flew that entire ultralight rudder only. I think I touched the stick like twice, and really all it was for was to coordinate the aircraft. So I threw out like all my preconceived notions of how to fly an aircraft in about 90 minutes. Okay, approaching 2,500. At 2,400.
Set.
Altitude lock. Thank you.
Spot on. Maybe not.
That's okay. It's correcting, I think.
It's definitely not correct.
Let's do it.
Oh no, it's doing it now. Just took a while.
I should have leveled off at 2,500 instead of being at like crazy vertical speed. Alright, you want to turn on nav hold?
Set.
Yeah, it's still wanting to dive. The altitude hold is really trying to do crazy things. But I'm going to let it kind of do its thing and just keep the throttles
That was my bad. I hit the IAS button instead of the altitude hold button because I wasn't zoomed in enough to read properly.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, I turned on auto climb instead of altitude hold. Which, yeah.
Now it feels better, yeah.
Yep.
I felt like I had way too much trim control there. Because, like, I was trimming the aircraft because it was trying to struggle the altitude, but that was because of the IAS, I guess.
The same thing happened yesterday. I forgot to turn it off after the climb, and you were just constantly trimming to level out. And then I remembered to turn it off.
Alright, let's go a little bit
I should have made them off.
on these engines. That looks good. We're making really good time here. So, our nav1 radio is set to the ILS, is that correct? Yep. And I'm going to switch this over to the ADF, see if we can capture that NDB outside of Vancouver International, which is 266, I believe. And if I pop down into the radio stack, I think I got to depress that. Yeah. Yeah, hitting that button changes it over to ADF. I'm not really sure. Like, so the ADF has two modes, antenna and ADF, and I never know what antenna means. So that little thin needle is pointing to the NDB, and then the localizer should be established on this center instrument here. So we are landing, let me just double check again, runway 26 left. So if I set my OBS here to, that's 25, 26, nope. That's close enough. And we're on track, so that looks good. We're a little high. But I think we should be okay. So let's try to get some shots of the actual aircraft, and we'll see you when we're on our base there. So right ahead of us is Vancouver. Vancouver International should be somewhere right off to our right there. So we're basically on our downwind leg. We're going to be flying over Vancouver here and then making a base turn right, and then another base or another right turn to final, which then we will be capturing the ILS, and we'll switch it over to VLOC mode, the GPS to VLOC mode. The nav hold on the autopilot can take us in, and then I'll take control of the aircraft when we get further down. But some really nice scenery. Like, everybody always talks about how they can make their P3D look so great and their FSX look so great, but in X-Plane, all you need is ortho and W2XP, and it looks amazing, and it's free forever. So we're on our base leg, and as you can see, we've gained some altitude. We're at about 3,200 feet right now, when I was hoping we would be at 2,500. I'm not really sure what happened there. It looks like our altitude hold isn't on anymore. It like switched over or something. So I'm just going to try to trim this aircraft down or something and bring us down a little bit while we turn into our final. But we have captured the ILS, which is good. You can see it there on that gauge. It says that we are to the right, obviously, of the approach, which makes sense. But we're turning to final now, and there's the right runway, there's the left runway. So looking pretty good, and the glide slope is lining up. We're too high, which is what I was expecting, and we're lining up on the approach. So, Nick, did you want to switch the CDI to VLOC for me?
So?
And this will line us up on the glide slope exactly, and then I'm going to just basically adjust our descent with the throttle here, because we're way too high. Catching up now. Still too high. Now it should catch up with us a bit better. Problem is we're coming in way too fast. Feather the props a bit. We just passed over the NDB, so that's good. Okay, now we've got a good glide slope. We've got a good heading. Now I just gotta control the speed a bit. Approaching 1,000. Haven't even touched the yoke yet. Just doing this all with trim and throttle. touching the throttle now. Just pay way too much attention to my speed. Okay, you want to give me flaps 1, Nick? Or flaps 10, I should say.
Set.
Give me flaps 20. See what that feels like, because I'm almost at idle here.
Set.
Okay, let's turn off the autopilot.
Set. Just turn the landing lights on.
Thank you.
A little bit better, I suppose.
Flaps 30.
Set.
On the ground at Vancouver International, flaps up. Should I taxi off left or right? Let's not chill on the runway here. Sorry, I slowed her down way too much.
Take the next right, same as last time. Go up D1 into D and then so that same before.
Okay. So this airport, Vancouver International, is actually on the airport scenery gateway. I had to do a little bit of a reposition because of Ortho 4XP, but it should be, if I understand what X-Plane's doing with their release, it should be out in 11:10, right, Nick?
Yeah.
I think they're pushing all the gateway airports to 11:10. So.
No, wait, 11:05 is. I think it's the gateway airports.
Oh, okay. We lingered way too long on the runway there, but that was my fault. I throttled back too much. I'm still not used to this guy. So what are we on right now? D2?
D1, I think.
D2.
Okay.
And we're approaching D. I'm going to go right on D.
Yep.
Oh, and yesterday when we did this flight, I decided to just park it in the parking lot of the airport, which was dumb.
We still need to make a donation to the lawn maintenance fund when we cut across it.
This is DR. See if there's any aircraft in any of these spots to the left. There's one, but we can maybe take this right up ahead of us. And parking brake is on. Right? Now it's on. So, if we pop over here, let's just kill the fuel. Engine 1, engine 2. Alright, let's log the flight. So, the aircraft is now at Vancouver International, and we'll see you guys in the next video where we fly this to northern BC on a long journey.